are live. What is going on, everybody? Let's switch over to my face. Hold on one second. What is going on, everybody? I'm trying to scare y'all with that. What's going on, everybody? It is so good to see you guys again. We are back in here. We gotta start off with the legend, Ep.73, the moderator as well now. Now he's a moderator. Now he's a mod. So you got to be careful. Hashim is out on the hunt. If anybody doing what they're not supposed to be doing, he's going to cut you. Anyways, thank you so much for showing up. Starting off with the Let's Go Champ. We got to also start off with Michael Buffer. We got the other moderator here as well, David Morales. What's going on, brother? Let's start off with Michael Buffer to start the show. And then let's talk about this Terence Crawford situation.
Ladies and gentlemen,
there we go. That was pretty fun. Adrian Dones, what's going on, brother? What's up, Nate? What's up, Nath? Nath. I'm gonna say Nath. It looks like math with an N. Nath. Hope everyone is having a good day. And David Morales, of course, was good, everybody. I hope you are too, Nath. All right. So let's go ahead and start the show. Let's talk about, this is important. Because what gives? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Why did Terence Crawford lose his IBF title? Now, we actually have more information today than we did when it was announced that he lost his IBF title, right? First of all, it wasn't even a public thing at first. He just simply did not show up in the IBF rankings when they released their new rankings list. If he doesn't show up on the list, he should be at the top, at the tippity top, right? He should be above even the numbers because he's the champion. So if he doesn't show up on the list, that means he's no longer the champion. And that's how we found out. That's how everyone found out. That's how Michael Benson went ahead and shared it on, on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it these days. But that's where we started to find out. Oh, damn, Terence Crawford, he's not an IBF champion no more. Which means the ramifications of him not being IBF it's more powerful when you have all the belts. Because you're not an undisputed champion anymore, right? If you only had 2 belts and they take 1 away from you, sure, that stings, but you wasn't undisputed. You just was a lineal champion. You had 2. Now you have all 4 belts and then they take 1 away from you. You're no longer the undisputed champion. So that's a big deal. And today, they revealed what happened behind the scenes, why he lost the IBF title. So basically, the IBF went up to Terence Crawford and asked him simply this: will you be defending your IBF title at 147 pounds against Jaron Boots Ennis? So it wasn't even, will you be defending your IBF title at 147 against anyone? It was, will you, and I, like I said in my video when I talked about this, the IBF is the strictest of all of the 4. They are so strict. I'm talking about they will strip you. They don't care. Have you noticed that there isn't a super IBF? You can't be super. There isn't a regular and a super and all this stuff because there's no wiggle room. If you have the IBF title, you don't have a special place in their hearts. They're not going to be like, oh, you know what, man, you the super IBF champion. You the super one. So we're going to let you do whatever you want, who you want to fight. Just tell us. And nope, it's not like that. They're super strict. They'll say the only reason that Teofimo Lopez even had to fight Kambosos was because of the IBF. I hope you know that. The IBF forced that fight to happen, and of course they just made it undisputed because why not, right? Raise the stakes. But it was because the IBF was like, you got to fight Kambosos. And that's why he fought Kambosos, right? The IBF is incredibly strict, so you got to be like, you're always on your toes with the IBF. But that's besides the point in what I'm trying to say here. They asked him, is he going to fight at 147 and is it going to be Boots? Terence Crawford and his team's response was, no, because I'm obligated to fight Errol Spence Jr. Their response to that was, cool, you're no longer the IBF champion. We've elevated the interim champion, which is Jaron Boots Ennis, to full champion. He is now the IBF champion. So this is not good for, this is worse in my opinion for Boots than it actually is for Terence Crawford. Because Terence Crawford wasn't going to stay at 147. Terence Crawford wasn't going to be a guy that was lingering around 147 anyways. That wasn't what he was going to do. He was going to fight Errol Spence one more time, go all the way up to 168 if allowed, right, by the opponent, by Canelo, and then end his career. He wasn't going to be straddling around at 147 anyways. But now, when people look at Boots, people that don't like Boots, if you don't like Boots, because this is how people act, I don't act like this. He still gets the respect because he became interim champion, in my opinion, right? But now, what they going to do? He's an email champion. He's a paper champion. Because you can't be more paper champion in the eyes of a hater. You can't be more paper champion than being given a belt that you didn't even have to do a vacant fight for. It was just whoop, boom. There you go. Now you could defend it however you want, whatever you want to do, go ahead and defend it. He didn't even have to fight for a vacant title. He was the champion. He was just given the title. So haters are going to come and attack that, right? Haters are going to attack that. That's why I think that this situation is actually worse for Boots than it is for Terence Crawford. Because whoever Boots beats, it doesn't matter. He'll just be defending the IBF title. If Boots beats somebody in an IBF title fight, he'll just be defending the title. In a fight where the person is not fighting for a vacant title, they're just a contender to a person who was given the IBF title. There was never a change of hands or whatever, changing the switcheroo where he fought for it. It was simply given to him. So I highly anticipate that this will inevitably be worse. It's going to be the same situation that Devin Haney had to go through. When Devin Haney won the WBC title, people would still avoid him. People would still not fight him. People still felt like, let me leave him over there when he was the WBC champion. Granted, they didn't need to fight him because there was another WBC title. So there's a difference there. But, I mean, Errol Spence is moving up. Terence Crawford is moving up. Who else is there for Boots, really, that's going to make noise when he's fighting at 147? And while he's carrying that belt, people are just going to say, paper champion, paper champion, paper champion. I really think that this did not do Boots any favors. At bare minimum, they should have made it vacant and he should have fought for a vacant title. Bare minimum. And also, let's go into the space of what the heck, why is the IBF even doing this? Are they anticipating that he won't fight within a certain amount of time at 147? Therefore, they're stripping him proactively. They're proactively stripping him because the man has not had the IBF title for more than a year. He hasn't had it for even close to a year yet. Remember, he fought in July of this year. So he hasn't had the belt. He hasn't had the IBF belt for a year. What is the rush? What is the rush? I'm confused. I don't understand what the rush is, right? There were times where Errol Spence, for example, was out of commission and he couldn't fight and he was off and he wasn't fighting and he wasn't stripped. But Terence Crawford just wins. He literally just wins it. A few months back, he just won the belt, and they're already stripping Terence Crawford of the belt. They're already stripping Terence Crawford of the belt. I don't understand why. Anthony Murchison, what's going on, brother? What's up? I don't understand why. Now, what that does is it forces Terence Crawford's hand. It forces his hand. I think that was a big thing that was holding Terence Crawford back, believe it or not, because I think that he wanted the swan song, right? I think he wanted the narrative. He wanted the story to be undisputed versus undisputed, but I come out on top. I think he wanted to jump 3 divisions while being undisputed and go up against someone who's undisputed and come out on top. I think that was one of the driving forces for him pushing to have the fight be at 147 again with Errol Spence. And we know that was the case because we got wind of that from Steven Espinoza when he was saying, hey, listen, you're not going to fight Errol Spence at 147. There's no point in fighting him at 147 to then go up to 168. Like, what are we doing here? What's this game that you're playing? Right? And really, it wasn't a game. He was just looking at legacy. He was thinking, I want to move up, because there was already people saying, oh, it's going to be capped because once he fights Errol Spence at 154, he going to move up 2 weight classes, which Jermell Charlo is already doing that. So he's just going to do 2 weight classes. He's not going to actually do 3 weight classes, which is petty because he's fighting the guy that was at 146. It's not like he's fighting a person who's an established 154 fighter. He's fighting a guy that was at 147, that he just fought at 147, and they're both moving up to 154 to fight each other. But it is technically true. It is technically true. Is it petty to point that out and all that? Yeah, but it is technically true. So in his mind, he probably wanted to have a more special situation where he moved up 3 divisions and became undisputed and had an undisputed versus undisputed fight. But now IBF has taken the belt away from him and given it to Jaron Boots Ennis. So that magic of being undisputed at 147 doesn't exist anymore. So to me, that forces his hand to not care about fighting at 147, which will make it easier for him and Errol Spence to get that fight in. Although the whole Showtime situation is kind of weird and iffy. We got to figure out what PBC is going to do next. I hope they go to Netflix, which is what is one of the rumored locations that wants the PBC. I truly hope they go to Netflix, because that would just make it so much more fire. If not for nothing, to grow the fan base, because I think the fan base will grow only on Netflix. If you go on DAZN, it already has that fan base there. If you go to Amazon, they're doing something with MMA and it doesn't seem to be that powerful. It's not really a space where people go that much in comparison to Netflix that has such a large install base. So many people use Netflix. So if PBC goes to Netflix, I think that would be just tremendous for boxing as a whole. Right. So I'm hoping that they go to Netflix. That's what I'm 100% hoping. But right now there's a limbo kind of situation going on with Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, because although they're supposed to fight, I think there was a postponement to that fight. Obviously, it was supposed to happen in December. It didn't, so that was pushed. But what's going to happen next, that they don't really have a network yet, that's another question in and of itself that's confusing, or just leaves us in a place of being in an unknown space of not knowing what's going to happen next. But one thing that I do believe has opened up is Terence Crawford's wants or ability to fight Errol Spence without any worry, fight him at 154. You could still move up 2 divisions and become undisputed in 3 total divisions, because Jermell Charlo, although he attempted it, he did not do it successfully. So you could do it, still feel special doing that, and be successful if you win against Canelo Alvarez, which is a possibility. Even though people think, no, it's impossible. The weight is a force field. You can't, the force field of weight is impossible to, other fighters have done it in the past. People have gone up in dramatic weight differences, like Roy Jones going up to beat Ruiz at heavyweight. Dramatically different in weight between him and even on the day of the fight, because at heavyweight there is no weight limit. So John Ruiz had like a crazy weight gap on Roy Jones, and he still outboxed him, right? So it is possible. People who are special can pull these things off. So I don't think that it's going to be that big of a deal if it was to happen as everybody else thinks, the way everybody else thinks. Okay, let me look at the chat real quick. Let me see what you guys are saying. Naf, that's right. Okay, Naf. So I was correct. Tango 28. What's up, Fanatico? What's going on, Tango? Fire. What's up, Fanatico? What's up, Fire? Adrian Dones. He might be done at 147 anyways, but it sucks that they stripped him that quick. Yeah, that's my thought process on it. I feel that they're moving too fast with stripping him of the IBF title. Why strip him so quickly? Like, why strip him for something that hasn't happened yet? You're maybe anticipating that he won't defend the title, but don't you give him the opportunity not to defend the title before you actually strip him? Why with Crawford was it like, oh, we believe you won't defend the title because you're telling us that you're not fighting Boots Ennis next. So we believe that you won't be able to fight him before a certain period of time. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and just strip you now and save everyone the trouble and give it to Jaron Boots Ennis. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if they just want the belt circulating and in the hands of somebody that's going to actively be doing stuff with the belt. I don't know what their reasoning is, but I do believe that it is too quick, and they should at least give him the opportunity to not do it by the time that they need him to do it. At least do that. Unless they just don't care. They are just, forcing whatever rule they want to force so that they get the belt into circulation and they get the sanctioning fees, whatever, what have you, and the person just is fighting with their belt and they get the marketing of their belt being used. Who knows? Whatever the case is, just that they clearly, in my opinion, are proactively removing the belt because it's too quick. It's too quick. So it's definitely a proactive move and not a sit back and watch what happens move. But they asked him flat out, and he said no, he won't be fighting against Boots Ennis because he has to fight Errol Spence Jr. And to them, they were like, well, okay, that's all we need to know. We taking it. That's it. What's going on, Poe? Poe in the house? Facts. He never fought the champion, therefore he is a paper champion, just defending it when he never even earned it. If he did, he would have had the title by beating the actual champion, which he didn't. Okay, so one thing that I will say about that, hold on. Damn, why is, I see Love C Shorty just posted a $2 super chat, but it's not popping up here. Let me close this real quick. And then try to open up the pop-up chat real quick here. There we go. I think we're good there. Let me see. Yeah, it's there. Love C Shorty with the $2 super chat. It came up on here. Let me go ahead and play the super chat video. Put this up on the screen. They wrong for stripping him. He just got the belt. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. They put a heart on it. That's what I'm saying, Love C. He just got the belt. So if you just got the belt, why in the world are they taking it away from you now? Proactively. Why do that? It seems so rushed. It seems so like, are you going to defend it or not? Nah, all right. Take the belt. Give it to Jaron Boots Ennis. It's like, calm down, bro. He just won the belt. In July. A few months back, just won it. It just happened. So, I don't know. Let's see here. Anthony Murchison, what's going on, brother? What's up? We love to have you here, brother. We love to have you. Yeah, if he had it less than a year and they stripped him, it's crazy. Must be because they know he is moving up. Yeah, that's the thing. They know he's moving up. They're doing it before he does that. They've asked him straight up, because this is the information we got today. They asked him straight up, yo, are you going to fight? And it's not even, are you going to fight at 147? Because he could say, oh, I'm going to fight Errol Spence, and we're trying to negotiate if it's still going to be at 147 or if it's going to be at 154, because I get to choose. They didn't ask him if he was fighting Errol Spence. They don't care about Errol Spence. They asked him, are you going to fight Jaron Boots Ennis at 154? And he said, at 147. And he said, no, because I have to fight Errol Spence. And they were like, that's it. You're done. Take the belt. We're giving it to Jaron Boots Ennis. You've been stripped of the IBF title. It's like, bro, it couldn't even be that he was fighting Errol Spence at 147. He needed to fight the interim champion, which was Jaron Boots Ennis, which makes sense because Jaron Boots Ennis is the champion. And although, for example, Fire, you said this here that he was, and I was about to acknowledge this right here. You said he's a paper champ because he didn't earn it. He technically did earn an opportunity for the belt because he was the interim champion. So he technically did earn the opportunity to fight for the belt. However, he was given the belt and he didn't actually beat a champion. Therefore, he's not a lineal champion. It is not a lineal title. And even if somebody beats him, it won't be linear until the person that beat him gets beat, right? Because for it to be linear, you have to beat the man who beat the man. That's the distance that you have to go for it to be a lineal title. If you just beat the man, you didn't beat the man who beat the man, so it ain't lineal. Somebody got to beat you, and that person will have a lineal title. So it just took so much away from Boots Ennis, I think, the way this was handled, because he's just not going to get the credit for that. The best they could have done was have him fight for a vacant IBF title, even if Terence Crawford wasn't going to fight him. They could have also waited to see if Terence Crawford was going to fight Errol Spence at 147. He could have done that. He could have fought Errol Spence at 147. You have to understand, now Errol Spence, now they're going to fight. They're going to fight Errol Spence and Crawford's going to fight, and the stakes are going to be so low. The stakes are going to be so low. They're going to fight at 154. There's going to be no belts. It's just for my get back, for the Errol Spence get back. That's all it's for. That's all it's for. The Errol Spence get back. That's the only purpose for this fight. There's no other reason this fight exists. He's not getting his undisputed titles back. The fight itself wasn't competitive. The only reason it exists was because it was in the contract. And the only reason that he's pulling the trigger on that being in the contract, because he didn't have to pull the trigger, but he did, which kudos to him. It shows he's a warrior. The only reason he's pulling the trigger is for the Errol Spence get back. That's it. I want my get back. That's all it is. That is all that it is. So we're going to have a fight that seems unnecessary, but it was in the contract and Errol Spence wants his get back, and there's not even titles on the line. There's not even titles on the line. They both just moved up. So what title are they going to fight for? None. He had the belt for not even 4 months and they stripped him. I know. Crazy. That's why I said, remember, before they even said what they said today, in my video yesterday, I said that it has to be that he's not fighting, that they communicated with him and he stated to them that he's not fighting at 147. It had to be that. And then they proactively said, okay, since you won't be fighting at 147, we won't even let you ride that out. We're just gonna assume that you're not gonna do it because you told us that you won't, and we're gonna go ahead and strip you now. We won't wait to do it. We'll strip you now. It just seems to me, it just seems very rushed. But I think that they just want to get the ball rolling with the IBF title. They don't want it to be held up in this purgatory of like, what's Terence Crawford gonna do? Is he gonna come back at 147? And is he gonna fight at 154? Because he could fight at 154 and come back to 147. That is also a possibility. Those things have been done. Fighters have done that. Roy Jones went up and came back down. What's his name? And that was for belts. Tank has gone up and come back down. People go up. Terence Crawford is small. He's a small guy-ish, right? He didn't even start at 147. He fought at 140, and he was even at 135 at one point. So Terence Crawford is small enough that he could go up and come down. And he could go up and come down within a reasonable time frame. Because let's say he fights Errol Spence, who knows, right? Let's say he fights him in February or March. He could get another fight in right at the year mark. Right at the year mark, he could get another fight in. Or just a little bit after the year mark. So it's not unheard of. They just simply are so rushed with trying to get the belt in circulation and having somebody like Jaron Boots Ennis, who rightfully earned the interim status. Let's not take that away from him, because I think that a lot of people want to take stuff away from people that win or get the belts like this. Devin Haney is not handed the belt because he's sitting on the couch. Devin Haney is handed the WBC belt because he's the next best person. And they got to give it to somebody. Jaron Boots Ennis is being given the IBF belt because he's the next best person. And they got to give it to somebody. The thing with me is that because the toxicity of the community, the boxing community is so toxic, that this will have a negative butterfly effect towards Jaron Boots Ennis, in my opinion. It will have a negative butterfly effect. People don't even like people that win vacant belts. In a vacant belt fight, they don't even like that. They're like, you a paper champion. You know what's worse to people than that? When they just email you the belt. That's what they look at that as like, if you don't like somebody, that is a full arsenal. That is bullets that you can use for a long time until they actually win something. Devin Haney was hit with these bullets for a long time until he became undisputed by beating Kambosos. Then he finally got the credit that he deserved. Then he was finally getting the fights that he wanted. Then all of this thing started to happen. He became the ace out, all this stuff. The respect was there when he finally beat somebody for the titles, when he became a lineal champion, and obviously he became undisputed. But when he had the WBC belt, the regular WBC belt, when the franchise belt was in rotation, they were looking at him like, you worse than a vacant title winner. You're an email title winner. You won the WBC championship by email. Even though he was beating people like Jojo Diaz and Linares, they were still like, nah, you won the title through an email. But he was the next best guy to get the title. He was the next best guy. I see what you're saying. Ep.73, what's going on, brother? What's up? Hold on, hearted yet? Oh, they be saying that I did put that's crazy. I didn't even know that they put it in the chat that I hearted Love C Shorty's super chat. Anthony Merchant saying, I'm doing great, brother. How are you doing, brother? Let's see. Hands. Jermell Charlo kept his IBF at 154 while not fighting his most recent called up mandatory in Tim Tszyu and got to have his debut fight at 168. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. This is the thing that I don't understand. I do know that the IBF is super strict, but I don't understand what drives their individual decisions. I do know that they forced Teofimo to fight Kambosos. The IBF forced Teofimo to fight Kambosos. He didn't want to fight Kambosos, but they forced him to fight Kambosos. If not, he would have lost the belts, and he wanted to move up and be undisputed. He should have just moved up without fighting, but he wanted to, I guess he wanted to hang around. Who knows? He probably wanted to do another fight or something like that before he moved up to 140. And then with Jermell Charlo, the same thing. It doesn't make sense to me why they just decided, hey, for now for this guy, for Boots and for Terence Crawford, in this situation, we're going to take it before we even should be taking it, just because we know that more than likely he's not going to uphold what he needs to uphold to hold on to the IBF belt. But other people don't be having it for mad long. And I don't even think they stripped Jermell of the IBF title. I think they stripped him of the WBA title when he moved up to fight Canelo. I think IBF still let him rock with it. What if Crawford goes up 154, come down 147, fights Boots Ennis? Do we know if that's going to happen? We don't know if that's going to happen. But one thing I do know for a fact is that the IBF, of all of them, in terms of the historical data that we have, they have been the most strict of the four belts from the four belt era. They've been the most strict for sure. Fire. Can't believe they did Crawford dirty like that. And I'm unbiased when I say that just because he wanted to fight someone else doesn't mean he should have been stripped. IBF is very strict. Yeah, they're very strict. But not only that, he don't even really want to fight Errol Spence. He has to fight Errol Spence. He doesn't even want to fight Errol Spence. He has to fight him. The only question is when, where, not when, where and when. Yeah, when and where, but where is the most important thing. Is it at 154 or is it at 147? That's the question, right? He has to fight. When they asked him, he didn't answer saying, no, I want to fight Errol Spence. He says, no, I have to fight Errol Spence contractually. By law, I have to fight Errol Spence or I will be breaking contract. So it's like he's so trapped. They asked him a question that they knew the answer to, and then they stripped him. He's trapped. There's nothing he could do. Nothing he could do. Yeah, you're right on that. So what I was saying was that he didn't actually beat the champion, so he was just given the title, which hurts Boots, as he gets no credit from this at all. Yeah. But I just want to make sure that people understand, and I'm not saying that you were saying that. I'm just saying that how people perceive what you're saying. I just want people to understand that he still earned the spot that he was in to get the belt given to him and not to somebody else. He can't really control it. It's not his fault. The same way it wasn't Devin Haney's fault. Luckily, Devin Haney got into a space where, things fell into the right spots for him to be able to fight somebody like a Kambosos and win that fight and then change the narrative, because once he won that fight, now he is the lineal champion. Now he did beat the man who beat the man, right? So it's just an unfortunate thing that this is gonna come back to be probably negative, not so much for Terence Crawford, because everybody's gonna be like, oh, he actually won it. He's not undisputed anymore, but what does it matter? Because he was probably going to move up anyways. It was just so that it could look as pretty as possible, so he could be undisputed versus undisputed. And now it's not going to be undisputed versus undisputed, but that's fine. That's fine. Doesn't have to be. Right? He's still the guy that won all the belts. He still won it. Even if you strip it, he still won the belts. You just took it away from him. Like, nobody is saying that Teofimo Lopez beating Josh Taylor is worthless. No, that was a big deal for Teofimo Lopez. And everybody looked at it as a big deal. Even though Josh Taylor didn't lose the belts, Josh Taylor was undefeated and he was stripped of most of his belts. Even though that happened, people still looked at Teofimo Lopez like he did something great. because the belts don't really make you. Plus, we saw him win and defend the belts anyways. We saw Josh Taylor collect all the belts and become undisputed at 140. We saw it happen. It doesn't change the fact that they were undisputed, even if you take the belts away. So the thought of who they are in the public eye remains the same. Now, the person who's getting the belt for free, the public now, that's much more easier to muddy up. That's easier for a hater that don't like Jaron Boots Ennis to be like, you a paper champ. You an email champ. It's easier. While with Terence Crawford, what could they say? He beat Errol Spence. He got all the belts already. They took the belts away from him. What can they say? Oh, you not nice. You no longer undisputed. That make no sense. That argument makes no sense. And everyone knows that argument makes no sense. But it's a much easier argument to be like, oh, you not nice. You ain't beat the champion for that belt. That's an easier argument that'll be harder for people to argue against. But ain't nobody going to be saying, oh, Crawford thinks he's nice, but he was only nice when he was undisputed. He ain't undisputed anymore. The IBF stripped him, so he ain't nice no more. I'm sorry, that's weak sauce. Nobody cares about that argument. That argument is weak sauce. So it doesn't do it. I'm also explaining this because people think that this is like, look what happened to Terence Crawford. You see? It's like it doesn't do anything to Terence Crawford. It doesn't do anything. That argument falls on deaf ears. Nobody takes an argument like that seriously. It does nothing to Terence Crawford. Is it idealistic for him to have something like that happen to him? No. Is it pretty for him to have something like that happen to him? No. Is it more pretty if he keeps the title and he goes up to 168 as a champion and he's undisputed still? Or he's chilling in his house being an undisputed champion? Yeah, that's prettier. But there's not an argument against him for him being stripped. While there is an argument against Boots Ennis that haters will jump on. There's an argument against Boots Ennis that haters will jump on. That's my point. My point is for people that are celebrating this, or even people that think that Terence Crawford did something that didn't make sense, and people that are celebrating this even for Boots Ennis and happy that Crawford don't have the belt anymore, it's not helping Boots. And it's not hurting Terence Crawford. You get what I'm saying? It's not helping Boots, but it's also at the same time not even hurting Terence Crawford. Because we all saw him win the belt. All right, let me see what you guys are saying over here. Love C. Shorty. I don't think they're going to dog Boots like they do Haney because he at least gets knockouts. LOL. That is true. But trust me, bro. There's haters everywhere, bro. Manny Pacquiao had haters, and all he was doing was knocking people out for a certain amount of time. Deontay Wilder has haters, and all he does is knock people out, bro. All he does is knock people out. Sure, knocking people out is good, but people hate on people no matter what. And they built a whole group system, and they all say the same thing, and they all see what each of them are saying, and they all keep saying it so that argument can be really loud and powerful across social media. So people are still, trust me, sure he gets knockouts, but he has haters. Every boxer does. No boxer has everybody that loves him. Every boxer has haters. And because he has haters, they look for every nook and cranny to be able to say, ha, look at you, you're not that good. Look at you, you're not that good. Same thing with what happened with Shakur Stevenson. They saw the sparring session. He got hit a few times. Ha, look, you're not that good. You got hit a few times. You lost that sparring session. So when you have haters, they're always looking for any inch, any hair of an argument to go against you. And I'm sure people are saying it already, bro. I've seen the social media. People are already saying it. Oh, he's a paper champ. Oh, we gonna give him the same treatment we gave Devin Haney. People saying it already, bro. And it's sad. In my opinion, it's sad because it's like blaming Floyd because you think the judges robbed the fighter that Floyd was fighting. Even if you think the judges robbed the fighter that Floyd was fighting, Floyd ain't the judges. Floyd ain't the judges. He can't make that decision. They make the decision. And no, he's not buying the judges because somebody would blow the whistle when money dries up, and he would be like, it would be a crazy thing because that comes into gambling and all that stuff, tampering and everything like that. It would be a crazy situation. It would be a crazy situation. So no, he's not buying the judges. This is not a Rocky movie or some type of epic action boxing movie where they're just buying the judges under the table. That's not what is happening. That's not what is happening. The judges are probably favoring him because he's the likely favorite, which tends to happen. It's not like Manny Pacquiao wasn't buying the judges when Juan Manuel Marquez could not get a decision over Manny Pacquiao. Right? People are not buying the judges. It's just, okay, well, this guy is the guy that I'm already kind of more biased towards because he's the star. I'm guessing that this person is going to win. And then they kind of are already in that space of looking at that person as the person that's going to win. So they probably become more enamored by stuff that they do versus the stuff that their opponents do. But that doesn't mean that he bought them. It's not his fault, whatever the judges choose. It's not Floyd's fault. But people get mad at Floyd because the judges did that. People are going to get mad at Jaron Boots Ennis because the IBF gave him the belts. People were mad at Lomachenko because the WBC elevated him to franchise champion. That's just how people are, man. Because you give a hater this much, and they're gonna turn that thing into a social media plight on why no one should like this fighter. Have 36-year-old pound for pound number one Crawford moved down to fight prospect 0-0 title fight record 26-year-old Boots. Shouldn't the young boogeyman chase the old fox? Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, he's not going to move from 147. And I think that there were moments where the fight could have happened because there was a dry spell for Crawford in terms of trying to get a good fight that, he could have probably entertained a Boots Ennis fight back then. But back then, Boots didn't really want to fight Terence Crawford. Now, though, Terence Crawford is a big reward. He's popular enough, which I'm super happy that this is the case because he deserves it. But he is popular enough now after the Errol Spence fight where that fight could be made. Bud moving down in weight for the first time ever at the age of 36 will be the worst management move in history. Make Boots come up for a big fight at 154 or 160. Well, you will have to wait and see. It doesn't look like Boots plans to move up because if the IBF talked to Terence Crawford, you know that they talked to Boots Ennis. And Boots Ennis is probably going to just stay at 147. He's not going to move up to fight Terence Crawford. The IBF also stripped Tyson Fury 10 days after he dethroned Klitschko. Yeah, look at that, man. But maybe the IBF title on the line when Tyson Fury fought Klitschko because 10 days after fighting Klitschko, because I know that he won the WBC title. I don't think he won the IBF title when he fought Klitschko. But if they dethroned him, it had to have been that he didn't actually put the IBF title on the line. I think that maybe the WBC, I don't remember well, but I think that maybe it was only the WBC title that was on the line. If, in fact, the IBF title was on the line and he was stripped of that title, then the only thing that I can think of is that he immediately retired and he announced his retirement and the IBF are so hasty that they just said, "Oh, okay, you retired. Let's go. We need the belt moving in circulation quick." It's like, damn, IBF, y'all don't make money. Y'all not making money or something? Y'all need all these sanctioning fees to come in quick. Like, what's up, man? Calm down, bro. Yeah, you got like 100 weight classes. I'm sure you got other belts circulating somewhere else. Calm it down. Calm it down, brother. Calm it down. Tyson Fury popped for Nandrolone for his IBF title eliminator versus Hammer, so not similar to this. Okay. IBF had a reason to know Tyson Fury would be caught up in UKAD drama. Okay, probably something that I know that there has to be something that was interjected in there to show that, the IBF would have taken it away from him for just within 10 days. A 10-day span is nothing. So I'm expecting that there would have been something, going on there. Fury should have never gotten the Vlad fight. His IBF eliminator should be a NC versus Christian Hammer. Just reinforcing the fact that IBF seems to be the quickest to the trigger when it comes to stripping champions, no matter the situation. That's true. That's still... Even though there are circumstances behind why he was stripped so quickly after that fight, although if he did not defend that title in that fight, then there's an argument that can be made there. However, it just shows that, they faster than anybody. They're the fastest to pull the trigger, and they're the strictest of the four in the four belt era. Jumpman 23, after Shakur beats Edwin, who's going to fight Shakur next? That is a tough one because he already went down the list to fight Edwin De Los Santos. The only thing that I could see for Shakur, which is crazy, but it's probably the only thing he could do, is move up to 140. Move up to 140 because I don't see him getting a fight, like, unless he gets the fight with Tank, but I don't know if the Tank camp will feel that he's ready to go for that, right? In terms of, should we give Tank to Shakur with the popularity that Shakur has right now? I don't know if they make that decision on their end. And does Shakur just sit around hoping that a Tank fight is going to show up on his door? Because remember, he even said Tank is the major A-side. What do I look like sending an offer to Tank? He got to send an offer to me, right? He got to tell me he want to fight. Because me giving him an offer is like a spit in the face. He the A-side. Him and his team, they the A-side. All I could do is wait. I think that the safer bet for him to get a fight is to move up to 140. He could move up to 140, fight Regis Prograis if Devin Haney beats Regis Prograis and beat Regis Prograis better than what Devin Haney did, right? To make a statement and have a common opponent. He could also, fight Regis. He could fight Teofimo Lopez. That's a possibility as well to show, hey, look, I went against top dog. You went against secondary dog. I went against the number one person. So he could do that to kind of add to the narrative of him and Haney, right? He could fight Haney. He could move up to 140 and actually fight Haney. It sucks because he just got to 135. It's like he's skipping. It's like he's just skipping around. Right? It's like he moved from 127 to 130 to from 130 to 135. Now I'm at 135. I just do one fight and boom, I'm at 140. It makes everything like, he could say that he's a multi-divisional champion, but his chase to become undisputed becomes so much more difficult when he's constantly chasing people and moving into different weights, because then he has to reset every time. He has to reset. Granted, if he wins the WBC title, it gives him an opportunity it helps him in the rankings moving up to 140, but it's not, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. He's still got to start from scratch. He got to get one title at a time. And at 140, the titles are all dispersed. Everybody has a title at 140. I think Rolly Romero has a world title at 140. Rolly Romero has a world title. So it's just all over the place. You got to go and collect it. It's just it's difficult, right? Imagine getting the WBC title and then just letting it go, and it's just the one title you won, and now you're moving up to 140. But the thing is, I just don't see anybody at 135 wanting to fight Shakur. And when people are like, "Oh, he should fight Isaac Cruz," just because Tank had problems with Isaac Cruz and they want to see Shakur lose to Isaac Cruz, so they could just say, people love to do little things like that, so they could just say, "Oh, Tank will beat him. See, we don't even ever fight him, Tank. Don't do it because look what happened." And it's safer to do it that way because if Isaac Cruz wins or does good, then they could say that. If he loses, then they can still keep pretending like they feel that Tank will still win. This is just like a interim way to get him to lose, so that hopefully he loses or hopefully he does bad, so that they could talk trash about how Tank would beat Shakur. That's the political, social mind games that the community plays. But I've been in the boxing community for since I was a kid, so even before the internet. So I know how these things manifest. But the truth is, Isaac Cruz turned it down. Isaac Cruz said, "Nah, I don't want to do it." So what do you want him to do? He can't do nothing if the other person clearly says, "I don't want to fight him." Isaac Cruz is like, "I want Tank." And maybe it's not that people are scared. Maybe it's just that he's too much of a high risk, low reward situation for everyone. That's that's the balancing act of boxing that's so difficult. If you don't get to like Mayweather status, nobody want to fight you. If you're good, if you're really good, the way a Shakur is good, right? If you're that good, nobody want to fight you until you get to Mayweather status. Nobody want to fight you until you get to Mayweather status. But then how you get to Mayweather status if nobody want to fight you? It's the same thing it's the same situation when you're trying to get a credit card. Same thing. Oh, you got credit? You got credit so that we could give you this credit card? Nah, I don't got credit, but I want a credit card so I can start getting credit. Nah, you need to get credit first before we could give you this credit card. But how do I get credit first if I can't have a credit card to build credit so that I could get the credit so that I could get a credit card? I don't know, bro. Chicken, egg, I don't know which comes first. That's how these things work. Same thing. He's so good that he needs to be at the level of Mayweather stardom so that people want to fight him. But how does he get there? Because nobody want to fight him. It's a tough. Very, very tough. There's going to be moments that you have to get lucky, and you're going to have to capitalize on that luck. There's going to be moments that Shakur is going to get lucky, and he's going to have to capitalize on that luck. Like if by any miracle he gets a Lomachenko fight, he needs to destroy Lomachenko. Like that's what I mean, that he needs to capitalize on that luck. When Floyd Mayweather got the De La Hoya fight, he beat De La Hoya, which was sufficient because he had to move up so much in weight to even fight De La Hoya, and De La Hoya was a superstar. So for Floyd, that was sufficient. For Shakur to fight Lomachenko, what might be sufficient is for him to create the most separation from any other fighter who's ever fought Lomachenko. He has to create separation from Devin Haney. He has to create separation from Teofimo Lopez. If he doesn't do that, he could still be viewed as too high risk and too low reward. He has to start doing numbers. That's what he has to start doing. Comparing apples to oranges, though, IBF had every reason to strip Fury, literally zero reasons to strip Crawford. If there was all that controversy behind Fury, I understand, but I do get Hashim 47's point. He's just trying to say, regardless of the situation, they're always the most jumpy to strip a fighter. The same way, for example, they was going to strip Teofimo Lopez if he didn't fight Kambosos. And he had just won, the title. So it was like one of those kind of things where it's like, well, technically he didn't just win, but it wasn't such a long time from the point where he won it. And none of the other belts were trying to strip Teofimo Lopez. Only the IBF was. A little off topic, but what's going on with Tank? Haven't heard anything. Well, Tank posted on Twitter that thank you for the support. I will see you guys early next year. And there was a lot of buzz that he's gonna fight somebody big. If he's gonna fight somebody big, I don't think that is an Isaac Cruz rematch, even though that was rumored. I think it's somebody like a Teofimo Lopez. That's what I think. And there was rumblings that was a conversation that was happening. There was rumblings that was a conversation that was happening. I hope that that's the case because we need to start seeing him. I think that strategy-wise, after such a big event that did over 1 million pay-per-view buys with Tank versus Ryan Garcia, if you want to keep that momentum going, the Floyd Mayweather strategy, which is what I've mentioned before, is you actually fight the best fighters in the world. When Floyd beat De La Hoya, he had to fight the best fighters in the world to keep the momentum going. Basically, every fight he ever fought after De La Hoya was the best fighters that you could fight. Shane Mosley, Miguel Cotto, Ricky Hatton, undefeated at the time, who just beat Kasazu. Right? Manny Pacquiao at the end. It was basically until he fought. Some exceptions in there was like Robert the Ghost Guerrero, but that's because Robert the Ghost Guerrero beat Andre Berto. So it gives Robert the Ghost Guerrero got the call because he beat Andre Berto. Maidana, he was fighting the best fighters. That's what needs to happen with Tank. We already know that he's popular. We already know that he could sell 270,000 pay-per-view buys with just his knockouts. We already know that. But we also know that if you give him a dance partner that people know, they could sell over 1 million pay-per-view buys. Tank is the superstar. And in my opinion, Tank is the face of boxing right now because of the amount of money that he was able to generate in terms of the pay-per-view buys, not the money that he made for his pockets, just the amount of interest that he was able to generate shows that to me. I think that if he fights a dance partner, we will see truly, if I'm right, because I could be wrong, it could just be the Ryan Garcia versus Tank kind of like bubble where that fight was building for a while, and also Ryan is famous on social media and Tank is popular on social media, and then they came together. That could be part of that equation that raised it all the way up to 1.2 million. But I'm wondering, well, what does he do with somebody else? What if he fights somebody like a Teofimo Lopez? Can he hit 700,000, 800,000, 900,000, 1 million on his own? We don't know until he actually does it. But if he does it and then we see, then we'll know from that point forward if he's the face of boxing or not. Okay, let me see what you guys are saying. King of 47 seems a little fishy to me since Boots was supposed to be mandated for Spence a while back, which never came, and he got skipped by Ugas via WBA, and suddenly Bud gets it and gets stripped immediately. I know it is funny. I'm not arguing that it is a funny situation. It is funny that happened, but it happened, and there isn't a consistent rule with these belts. There isn't. Like, they might, for example, Jamal has been WBC champion forever, for years, and he's not been active, right? So there isn't like a set rule. It's a fluid rule. However, of all of the people that have their fluid rules, IBF tends to be the most strictest, and it's not even super consistent. Just like you mentioned right there, is not super consistent on how they are with that. They could have been holding out because they knew that there was going to be a super fight between, Terence Crawford and Errol Spence, so they wanted that. But if Terence Crawford moves up to 154, they're not going to be part of that, right? Because you have to understand, they get a percentage of the fight, and they felt that fight was going to be a big fight. They could be like, let's leave the title on him, because if he finally fights Terence Crawford, we get the sanctioning fees for that. So let's not strip him and ruin this whole situation. Let's leave it on him. Let's hope they actually come together. They do the fight. We get the sanction fees. But now, if Terence Crawford is going to move up and fight at 154, he's not fighting for the IBF title. So we're not going to get the sanction and fees for that. So what's the point? Let's move quick and let's start getting sanction fees. Let's give this already to Jaron Boots Ennis. That could be a possibility. I would like to see Shakur move to 140 and fight Devin. I think that that's the best move for him to do. But what will Devin do it? Will Devin do it? That's the only thing. And guys, I see the question. I can't answer the question. Grand Regent Thrag. I'm happy for Boost. Nice to see my young boy Bowl finally get a title. Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred to see him get a title in a more traditional way, but yeah, man, he earned it, man. He became the interim champion. If they were going to strip somebody, he's going to get the title. And that's exactly what happened. All right, guys, we hit the 8 p.m. mark. 1 hour live. Of course, as always, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays from 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Hit the like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you get notified whenever we go live or whenever we put out a video talking about boxing or talking about boxing video games or maybe sometimes even just a super hype video game that everybody wants, like Grand Theft Auto 6. You never know, man. We're going to be probably talking about that bad boy too here on this show and playing it here on Boxing Fanatico. Okay, until next time, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you on Monday. Peace out.